everybody, it is Mackenzie and I wanted to come back and do an update on my miscarriage and all that is going on with that. It has actually turned into quite the ordeal. So, on May 11th, that is when we found out that we had a miscarriage. I had no bleeding. We went in, they said miscarriage. I was at 11 weeks. The baby had stopped growing at 7 weeks. So they scheduled a DNC for the next day. So on the 12th, we went in and had the DNC. At some point during that, we had denied genetic testing because our midwife was fairly certain that it was nothing genetic. We're young, we've had 3 healthy children, and she just really didn't think that was the case. She just thought it was, you know, miscarriages are common, so she just thought it was just one of those times. And so we denied genetic testing. And whenever it was time to do the surgery, my husband and I, we didn't really want them just like taking the baby. So my husband had asked if we could like keep the baby or the products of conception, which is what they use to call it, because our midwife had mentioned that we could if we wanted to. But they said no, that they would have to send it to pathology. And we were kind of like, well, why? And they said they had to test to make sure it was a normal miscarriage and nothing cancerous or anything weird like that. So that's just a little backstory. So then after the DNC and everything was completed, and I got sent home, they said I needed to make an appointment for 2 weeks after the DNC, to just like get checked out, and I was put on pelvic rest and like light duty during those 2 weeks. So it was like, okay, after the 2 weeks you come back, we'll clear you, you can go back to your normal life, and then we can talk about if you want to try for another baby. On Friday, May 27th, that morning, we went back for our 2-week after DNC checkup. I was super excited. Steve and I were both excited over the 2 weeks. We grieved, we cried, we got mad at each other, we got angry, we did things to remember the baby by, we talked a lot, and we had a lot of prayers and a lot of support and help, and I feel like we had just really come to peace and come to terms with everything, and we were strong and hopeful and ready to move on. So we were excited and full of hope going into this appointment. Okay, they're gonna clear us, and we can, if we want to try for another baby, we can, in like maybe a month or 2 at the longest. And we go in, and the midwife asked like how I was doing about bleeding and healing, which I was doing fine. Actually, it wasn't a midwife, it was the OB, the OB that had performed the surgery, the DNC. So anyways, she said that the pathology had come back, and what they had tested for, what they were worried about, the cancerous type things going on, that was going on, and it was considered a molar pregnancy, which, come to find out, it wasn't a full molar pregnancy. There's actually 2 types of molar pregnancies. There's a molar pregnancy and there's a partial molar pregnancy. So just to kind of explain what that is, because I had never heard of it ever in my life. I don't know personally anyone who's ever had one. A molar pregnancy is when the woman releases an egg and the egg is underdeveloped. The egg does not have a nucleus in the middle. So, but the sperm comes and meets the egg, and it does fertilize this egg that has no maternal chromosomes at all. So the egg has like nothing to make an actual baby with in it. It doesn't have any maternal chromosomes. But when the sperm goes ahead and fertilizes it, the sperm duplicates, and so it now has 2 sets of chromosomes, but all the chromosomes are paternal chromosomes. That causes a problem. No baby forms. It's more just like a mass of moles and tissue, and they call it moles. It's like little holes or clusters or even tumors, I guess you could call it. And your HCG, which is your pregnancy hormone, is very, very extremely high, higher than a normal pregnancy, and your uterus will grow faster and everything will happen because this the moles, the formation, it's not actually a baby, it's not actually a fetus, but it grows at a very fast rate, a cancerous rate. And that is the full, complete molar pregnancy. Then the partial molar pregnancy is when the woman releases a normal egg, a fully developed, good egg, the mother releases, and this time 2 sperms are going to meet that egg at the same time, and both of the sperms, healthy sperms by themselves, are fertilizing the egg at the same time. So what happens here is when it's fertilized and you conceive, the egg gets the maternal chromosomes, but now it's getting 2 sets of paternal chromosomes. So that's a problem, because if you have, like how she explained it to me was, if you have a baby, if you have a Down syndrome baby, they have 3 sets of the 21st chromosome. If you have a partial molar pregnancy, your baby has 3 sets of every single chromosome. They have an extra third amount of chromosomes than they're supposed to. And that baby will not survive, will not form, you're gonna have all kinds of issues. So normally the baby forms, but as well, these moles and cysts and tissue also forms. Now, in the partial molar, because there is a fetus and it is a pregnancy, there is a baby growing still. The HCG levels they're still rising because you're pregnant, but they're not as high as the full molar pregnancy. They are higher than a regular normal pregnancy would be, but not as high as the molar pregnancy. So the baby forms, and usually if you have a partial molar and it's not caught by a doctor, and you go and keep going with it, you will miscarry either late in the first trimester or early in the second trimester. So I was 11 weeks when the doctors found it. I don't know how much longer I would have went, because of the moles and the tissue and everything, your body thinks that you're still pregnant. It doesn't register that the baby's not alive, and it will continue to carry on the pregnancy. You're going to keep growing, and the stuff inside of you is going to keep growing. And sometimes the baby will live longer than mine did at 7 weeks. Sometimes their babies will live to be like 10 weeks or 12 weeks, but eventually the tissue and the moles and everything around the baby is going to overtake the baby, and the baby will not survive. And just like a Down syndrome baby can survive and have a good life, a lot of times they do have health problems. Well, in this pregnancy, you gotta imagine, okay, you have like Down syndrome where there's 3 of one chromosome, you have Turner's syndrome when there's 3 of a different chromosome. You know, a lot of these disorders from having 3 of a chromosome, but the baby has 3 of every single chromosome. So it's like very, very, there is absolutely no chance of survival. There is so many problems, and you're gonna find issues, like in an ultrasound, if it goes long enough where the baby's big enough they can tell, they'll see that there's a problem in the placenta or in the uterus or even in the baby. They'll be able to tell. When I had my ultrasound, they couldn't tell. They didn't suspect that it was a partial molar pregnancy. And the only true way to 100% diagnose that that's what it is when they send in the baby, the whatever you want to call it, when they send that in to pathology and find out that way. That's why we didn't know this prior. The doctors didn't suspect that's what it was when they saw my ultrasound. Everything looked pretty normal other than the baby had quit growing early. It's a problem because molar and partial molar, it doesn't matter, both can be cancerous. Both can spread not just through the pregnancy but pass through your uterine wall and go into other parts of your body. So now you haven't only just lost a baby, you now have this threat of cancer spreading in your body. So to treat this, the tissue has to fully be removed, which is why they do the DNC, to make sure the baby doesn't regrow. And now we're testing weekly for HCG levels, which is the pregnancy hormone, to go down to 0. Then they have to stay down. Depending on your situation, it's for different amounts of time sometimes, but for me, they need to stay down for at least 6 months to ensure that it's actually gone and that there's no spreading and that everything's healthy. If HCG rises, that shows that it has spread or it wasn't fully gone, and then you have to be treated with chemotherapy. So you actually go through everything as if you had a full-blown cancer, because it is cancer spreading. So until I get my 6 months of clear testing, I am not allowed to get pregnant according to the doctors. They strongly disadvise, because if a pregnancy occurs, the HCG, which is your pregnancy hormone, it will rise from the new pregnancy, obviously. But what you don't know is if the molar pregnancy is causing anything in there to rise. So if your HCG is rising from a new pregnancy, it's impossible to tell if the moles are coming back or if it's just because of the new pregnancy, which can be scary, because if it was the cancer and not just the new pregnancy, that cannot be treated while you're pregnant with a new baby. So basically at that point, you're choosing which life you want to save. Do you want to get treated for your cancer to recover yourself and probably kill your baby, or do you want to save your baby and not get treated for the cancer and possibly kill yourself and also harm your baby in other ways with the cancer? So it's really just a mess, and there is a lot of ifs, okay? I grieved heavily when we found this out. It was not what I was expecting, but there's a lot of ifs. But I believe in a God that is greater than all of this, that is my healer, is my redeemer, and my protector. And I know that he's going to see us through this. I know that we're not alone in this, and we just have to endure. We have to endure things of this world sometimes that are not good. And so we're having to endure, and I know, like, deep in my heart that good is gonna come out of this. I can't see it right now. I can't see exactly how this is all going to turn out, but in the midst of the hard times, good is coming, especially to those who keep their faith and don't let it shake them. I am still heartbroken, and you know what? It's very nerve-wracking for me to think that there could be health problems for me on top of losing the baby, but I can't let this shake me, can't let this break me down, can't let this stop me from having the faith that I have, or being the mother that I need to be, or the wife I need to be, or the friend I need to be. I gotta keep going in my life. So that being said, because of the risks with pregnancy involved and all of that, the doctors are strongly encouraging for a reliable birth control plan. They asked what we do, and I told them, as most of you guys know, that we use natural family planning, and that sometimes we back up with condoms if we... So natural family planning, actually, the official term, you abstain during fertile times if you're trying to avoid pregnancy. So actually, fertility awareness method is when you might use a barrier method during fertile times. So technically, I guess, most of the time we go NFP, but every once in a while we end up on the fertility awareness method side of it. Anyways, so I told them that, and they were not pleased with that. They wanted to give me the Depo shot, they wanted to give me the NuvaRing, they wanted to give me pills, and they just about drove me crazy. I told them I didn't want any of that stuff. Like, I have a bad experience with birth control in the past. I don't like it. But we went ahead and did take the birth control pills home with us. And me and my husband talked a lot about if I actually wanted to take them or just let the doctors be happy thinking I have them, or what. We basically came to the conclusion not to take them. Why? They say birth control is safe and effective. And I guess in some ways, depends on how you want to call it safe, but they're really not. To me, they're not safe. It is not safe to trick your body into thinking you're pregnant with fake chemical hormones for extended periods of time, especially when there's nothing wrong with you in the first place. And with cancer being the fear, why would you give something that is actually proven to cause cancer when you're worried about cancer spreading? I don't understand why I would do that. And also, I know many people who have gotten pregnant on the pill or on the depot shot or on the NuvaRing or even with IUDs, anything. So it's not really that effective either. Natural family planning is just as effective as any birth control options out there if you do it correctly. And if you don't do it correctly, you're taking just as much of a chance as if you don't take your pills correctly. So my convictions haven't changed on how I feel about birth control. It's for health reasons and for moral reasons. They didn't change, and I know that we can avoid just fine without it. And if we do everything we can to avoid a pregnancy in the way we feel is right, and a pregnancy still happens, we just have to trust God. So we're not saying that we're not going to take the doctor's advice. I do think this is serious. We are going to prevent pregnancy to the best of our ability. We're going to continue natural family planning. We're going to do it more cautiously maybe than we have in the past, because we did take chances in the past. We're going to have backup barrier methods around if we can't seem to handle abstaining. And, you know, that's just how we're going to do it. That's the way we feel comfortable with, and that's our plan. So the chances of molar or partial molar pregnancies happening is like between 1% and 2%. It's super duper rare. So the good news is we did catch it when we did. And as far as we know, no cancerous stuff did spread in my body, and I did have the DNC. So hopefully everything's out, and this is all just precaution. And I believe that it is. I believe this is mostly for precaution. It's even in people who have the molar pregnancies, only 15% ever become cancerous where chemo is needed. That's still enough of an amount that it is good to be monitored, but I am hoping that statistics will be on our side this time and that we will not be part of that 15%. It makes, like, a lot of this, now that we know, is coming together in my mind, and it's just like easing me. Like, it makes sense that I was so much sicker. Like, that pregnancy was the worst symptom wise of any of my other pregnancies had ever been. It makes sense. A lot of things just make sense. It makes sense why I got the pregnancy test so early when I wasn't even sure if I had ovulated. It makes sense. A lot of things, why my chart was so wacky. It's just, a lot of things are just starting to come together and make sense now. And as far as my feelings about it, you know what? To be quite honest, this sucks. I was excited to move on and, you know, get past it and have another baby someday. And not knowing when we'll have another baby, the not knowing if this is going to turn into something even more damaging, the not knowing how this is all going to play out. Even though I trust God, I know that good is going to come of it, but I don't know how. I don't know how it's going to get there. I don't know what our journey is going to look like now. I thought I was going to have a baby in November. Now I'm not. Then I thought I could get pregnant again and maybe have a baby in the spring. Now I'm not. So, you know, the not knowing is hard, especially for a type A person like me who really, really likes to plan. I'm really realizing that you can't really plan anything. I mean, you can plan all you want to, but there is no guarantees in life at all. I know that I need to endure through this. I know that I need to trust God. Little eyes are watching me all the time. My children are watching how I react to this. They might remember this, you know, this might be huge and instrumental in their faith someday, how mommy and daddy reacted to bad news. And through it all, it is really hard. It honestly is hard, but I have hope. I believe strongly that we will get through this. I'm gonna be okay, our family's gonna be okay, and I do believe that we'll have more children after this, healthy, happy children. I know we will. I just have hope for that, and it's crazy actually. I just on Facebook today had a time hop, or maybe it was yesterday, but it was a time hop of something I had posted about Evelyn, and she had said, "This is so hard," and I said, "What's hard?" And she said, "It's so hard because I've been praying so long for a sister, and God told me yes. But he said it's gonna be a long time, like probably when I'm 4 or 5 or 6. And it's really hard when all of our family's having babies, and you have a baby too, but I still have only 2 brothers and not a sister." And that's something she said a year ago. And it's crazy. That's before we were even trying to conceive or anything. Looking at that now, wow. Evelyn believes that God told her yes, she would have a sister. Do you believe that God speaks to children? I would not be surprised at all. Evelyn has great faith. She worships all the time. She prays all the time. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at all, even at the age of 3, if she really did hear from God in her prayers that she would get a sister. It was just going to take some time. So looking at that now, like seeing that on my time hop now that we've been through this loss, now that, you know, our conceiving plans are going to be put on hold for quite a while, it's crazy to think that, you know what, but God said yes, and I do think Evelyn's going to get her sister. Now, am I saying that we will definitely have a girl, and we'll definitely have a girl when she's 6? Because she will probably be 6 by the time we have another baby at this point now. No, I'm not saying that's absolutely how it'll happen, but I'm focusing on the fact that before any of this happened, there was a plan put in place, and I know God has a plan for our life, and I know that it's a good plan, even though I don't understand how we're gonna get there. I don't know all of that. I don't have to know all of that. I don't have to analyze all of that, even though I want to. But I want to know exactly when and how and why. I want to know all of that, but it's not for me to know. What I know is that I have to put my trust where it can be trusted, and my faith where there is something to be faithful for, and my hope where there is hope to be had. So anyways, sorry for the sermon, I guess, but that is just where I am, and I needed to tell you guys about how it was all going. Now, this miscarriage is now turned into a partial molar pregnancy, and I'm gonna be getting my blood drawn. I got it drawn on Friday, the day they told us. I'm gonna be getting it drawn every week for a while. I don't know if I'll be getting it drawn less than that at some point or not, but for now anyways, every week until my levels go to 0. So that is all. If you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I know this is like, most people haven't heard of it, so I'd love to answer your questions. I'm still learning a lot too. It's all new to me. So please let me know what you guys think or feel or anything that you want to know, and I will talk to you guys later in my next video. Bye.